Hi everyone, hope you're well. I just thought I'd do a quick follow-up video to the build being finished. Um, yeah, before I start, actually, I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the really lovely and positive comments about the bike. This is quite overwhelming actually, not just on YouTube, but all the people on Facebook and social media. It's been quite overwhelming to be honest. Um, everybody everybody told me that when you build the bike up from a bare frame that there's going to be one mistake or two mistakes. I honestly thought I'd got away with it and not made any. Now, if you watch my last video, you'll remember that I said that the TKC80s I really didn't like them. In fact, I said I hated them and that they made the bike feel vague in a straight line and that when the bike was leant over, it was fine. Well, I apologise, Continental. I take everything back. I was totally wrong. These are actually really good tyres. They don't track in a straight line at all. Surprising how little vibration there is from them as well when riding. Really good tyre. I'm really impressed with them. So my mistake. So ashamed to admit this, but I've always said I'll be honest on the channel. Um, Right, the bike felt absolutely solid for the first mile, possibly 2 miles. And then, like I said, what I thought was the tyres was it just developed this very slight kind of like tracking feeling or kind of just vagueness in a straight line. I kind of put it down to the tyres or the tyres breaking in because that's what they say on the reviews that they can feel a little bit vague at first. Um, but then it just didn't feel right and it just gradually developed to be a little bit worse, but it was intermittent. It would 1 second it'd be absolutely fine and then it would just feel a bit wayward and a bit vague, and I started to think maybe it's just because it's an old bike. No. I went out on, what's today, Wednesday? I went out on Monday and the bike had felt fine on Saturday when I went out. It was raining Sunday, so I didn't go out. And then I went out on Monday and it just felt awful and it was just starting to really weave, and I was on a dual carriageway, and normally if a bike is balanced and it's well set up and the tyres are all up to pressure, you can take hands off the handlebars on flat surface that hasn't got a camber and the bike will just run true and straight. Well, I didn't even want to take one hand off the handlebar, and when I did, the handlebars are doing this. So I pulled over and I checked everything and everything's done up. So I carried on for a couple of miles, got to where I was going, and by the time I'd got there, it was just feeling worse. So I took off all the covers, I checked everything was tight, and I couldn't find anything wrong with the bike. And I knew that it's all new bearings, that everything's been torqued up to spec. And then I loosened off the clamps for the axle, and the axle was a little bit loose. So I thought that's what it is. That's obviously I've forgotten to spec that up or torque it up. Sorry. So I tightened it up, put everything back together, got on the bike, went to wheel it backwards, and the bike didn't want to move. So I got off the bike, jacked it, put it on the centre stand again, lifted the front, and the wheel didn't want to turn. So I've undone the axle a little bit, and then the wheel was fine. So I just thought, well, maybe that's just the torque, but I'm sure the torque is supposed to be more than that. So I checked absolutely everything, all the handlebar bolts, the yoke bolts, the handlebar like riser, clamp bolts underneath the yoke, all the yoke bolts, everything. I couldn't find anything wrong, and I knew that it's all new bearings. And more importantly, that there is no play. When you lift the front wheel off, normally if a bearing is gone, there's a wiggle in the wheel. There was absolutely no movement in that wheel whatsoever. It felt solid. So I've decided to just limp it home really gently, and it just got worse and worse. And then every so often I was hearing this click, and I thought it was the speedo because when I was backing the bike, like manually backing the bike, I was getting a click, and I thought it was just the speedo cable and the speedo drive because I know that the gear is a bit worn. I've already ordered it. In fact, I've already got a new one. So I took it back down. I actually started to think that maybe the spokes are starting to come loose and that the rim is flexing because it was so intermittent. 1 minute it would be fine, and then next minute my wheel was just doing this. Like when I'd stand up and look over, the front wheel was just going everywhere. So I took it back to the people who built the wheel, Matt, the local guy, limped it back to the garage, and I said to him, I think my front wheel is starting to come loose because my front wheel was going everywhere and I've checked everything. I can't find anything that's wrong with it. And he looked at me as if to say, shut up. Like, we've just built that wheel, it's not coming loose. So I said to him, look, please just get on the bike, just take it up the road, come back, you'll feel it straight away. So he got on the bike, he rode up the road, turned around, come straight back and took it straight into the workshop. And I knew straight away there's obviously a major problem. I mean, I knew that anyway. So I take off the plastics, and Matt said to me, "You're braver than me riding that." And when he said brave, he actually meant stupid. Like, let's be honest, you shouldn't be riding a bike where there is something fundamentally wrong with the front of it. So I take the plastics off. Matt undoes the wheel, and as he takes the wheel out, one of the bearings is just absolutely annihilated, like mashed, balls missing, just chewed up. And I just thought, what? Like, how? Everything's brand new. I know that everything's been done right. Matt just looked at the wheel, just said, where's the collar? I was like, collar? And he said, yeah, there's supposed to be a collar in the middle of the wheel in between the bearings that supports the axle with the bearings. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. And I was thinking, I just said, well, there couldn't have been one on there because I haven't got anything left over. I know all the spares I've got left over, and there's nothing left over, and I wouldn't throw away like a metal tube. And because the history of the bike is the previous owner bought the bike, rode it once or twice, had these tyres fitted, and when he had the tyres fitted, the garage told him that the rims were rotted and don't ride the bikes, it's dangerous. So he just rode the bike like 3-4 miles home and never rode it again. And then I bought it 2 years later. So then I'm thinking, well, the garage have put the new tyres on and forgotten to put the collar back in. But one of the guys at Matt's garage said, no, the collar cannot come out unless you replace the bearings. And I thought back and I thought, no, the bearings that were in there weren't new, they were old. So that collar had to have been in there. So I've been racking my brains and I know exactly what I've done. I took the collars out of the ProLink suspension and put them in an anti-rust solution. I've also put the collar from the front wheel into that same solution with the ProLink collars. Then, a couple of days later, I've seen the ProLink collars for sale from MDM Special on eBay, and I bought them. But because it was the first time I'd used MDM Special, I had no idea if they'd be any good or if they'd work or even turn up. So I kept hold of the old ones. The new ones turned up. We fitted them, and yeah, absolutely perfect. Can't recommend his products enough. Um, so then I said to Ian, should I keep these? And he said, no, chuck them. So I distinctly remember it was one fairly late at night. I was having a tidy up and I've just emptied out the solution and thrown away the collars and thrown away with it the front wheel collar and not realised. And then somehow, and I don't know how, but just not seen it in the manual, just not realised we put the bearings in. I mean, the wheels were built months ago, and then the wheel was fitted, and I've fitted the belt. Me and Ian have fitted the bearings, and I just somehow have not realised and not double checked the manual, and it's totally not my fault, my responsibility. I'm not, I'm not, and I can't blame the blame at anyone else. This is totally on me. So yeah, I mean, I was quite close to killing myself, to be honest, and I knew that I should have pulled over, but I just wanted to just limp it to the garage because I haven't got recovery yet, and everyone I know with a van big enough to take this in was at work. So it's a really dumb decision and mistake on my behalf. Reason why I'm telling you this is because I don't, everyone makes mistakes. You just got to learn from them, and I just want other people to learn from it. So the four sort of things to take from this is: one, don't ever throw stuff away or work on the bike when you're tired or excited. Like at the end of the build, when it's getting near the end and you're getting excited, they're the two sort of most likely times you're going to make a mistake, especially when you're tired. When you get tired, just pack up, don't throw anything away, and just leave it for another day. Also, don't throw away anything until, like any actual parts, until the bike is fully built and MOT'd and tested for a couple of weeks. It's always handy to keep them just in case. Second thing is always double check the manual, always. I don't know how I've overlooked the collar in the manual. I've probably just scanned it and thought it was a picture of the axle. I don't know. But yeah, always double check that. Double check anything you throw away as well. Like I say, don't really throw stuff away until way after. And the fourth thing is I'm a total dick. There's no excuse. There's no way around it. Just got to take that one on the chin. So yeah, everyone makes mistakes, and I made one, but that is a stupid, idiotic mistake to make. So yeah, kicking myself for it, but it's all worked out all right. And full credit to Matt. I mean, I know people think that when you fit it without a collar, that the wheel will be loose. It won't. I mean, the bike passing an MOT like that, there is not a millimetre of give in the wheel when you don't have a collar. It's only once pretty much the bearings are hanging out that you'll then start getting the give. But fair play to Matt. He, on the spot, went next door, got a titanium rod, made me a new collar. So I've got a titanium collar in there now. And he had a spare bearing, which he fitted. He said the other one was fine, but I've already bought new bearings and I'm going to fit them just purely as a precaution. I'll make sure the collar stays in this time. But yeah, what a dangerous, silly overlook and mistake. But yeah, like I say, I just wanted to be honest, let people know. But once the bike was actually built properly and put back together properly, and all the parts that are supposed to be there are there, wow, what a solid bike! Absolutely solid. Just it honestly feels like a modern bike, only without the power, you know. But I'm happy with that. I don't go quickly on road. I don't. My CRF 1100, I barely take that over sort of 3,500, 4,000 revs most of the time. It sounds really boring, but there's just no real need. So yeah, I'm so happy with the bike, and I will admit I've made excuses just to come down here and have a little look, lift the cover up, and have a little peek at the guard. So sad. But yeah, anyway, thanks again everyone for the positive comments and well wishes and everything. And yeah, I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.